check me out. I know, long ass hiatus, okay, but that's because I was literally unable to edit my videos, and now I'm deciding I might just I might just shoot without editing my video. Anyways, I know you don't care about the yip yap, yippee yap 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 yap. If you want to hear about it, I can talk about it in a community post or something. Anyways, today I'm watching the Clippers, Lob City. I mean, the way they play just looks so interesting. I had to check out what's going on with the story, you know. You feel me? But I'm doing so because, like, I didn't know much about basketball, especially when I was younger. Don't worry about this pimple. Yeah, I didn't know much about them when I was younger because I didn't care about basketball too much. I wanted to be a ball player, but like I wasn't watching basketball. I didn't know how to, where to. It just seemed interesting to me. It had a little bit of aura back then. It still do, but like, anyways, let me just get to the video. God damn, I'm talking too much.
From 1970 to 2011, the LA Clippers were the laughingstock of the NBA. They made the playoffs just 7 times in 40 years, winning only 2 playoff series, and were by far the worst franchise in the NBA. But then they drafted one of the most athletic power forwards ever and traded for the best point guard in the league, and Lob City was born. However, despite all the highlights and the promise of winning a championship,
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know Chris Paul was good. Like, no joke. I never knew Chris Paul was good at any point in time. The second, sorry, I keep hitting my mic. It's down here. The second I started hearing about Chris Paul, it was like, yo, Chris Paul, this nigga, like always arguing with like, what's his face and I was like, what the fuck?
They failed. So, just how good was Lob City actually? The Clippers finished the 2009 season with just 19 wins and 63 losses, and were tied for the second worst record in the NBA. The Clippers had an 18% chance to get the first overall pick, but after years of losing, Lady Luck was finally on their side, and they won the right to pick first in the upcoming 2009 draft.
The number 1 pick in the 2009 NBA draft will be made by the Los Angeles Clippers.
And even though the 09 draft class was filled with great guards such as Steph Curry, James Harden, DeMar DeRozan, and Drew Holiday, the Clippers' choice was easy.
With the first pick in the 2009 NBA draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin just came.
You picked Blake Griffin over Curry and Harden? They were never going to make it. That team was still... So I've heard that like Curry wasn't the best off rip, right? Like when he got like at the beginning of his basketball career, he was not that great. So I've heard. And he started eating up. So I can understand them not picking Curry. But Harden? Come on, that's an easy pick. Harden?
Off one of the most dominant seasons in NCAA history, where he averaged 22.7 points, 14.4 rebounds, and 2.3 assists per game, breaking a ton of rebounding records. Strong as an ox, with big hands, freakish athleticism, toughness.
Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all something, and I'm gonna stop pausing. If you ever see a light skin with this haircut, don't fuck with them. Do not fuck with them. They will break your shit. You see light skins like that? This specific type of Negro that look like Lupin. I'm telling you.
And an impeccable work ethic, Griffin was out-hustling and out-muscling every opponent that came his way. Even though his offensive game was unpolished, Blake was like a wrecking ball, and he often made other college big men look like little kids, winning all the major awards for Collegiate Player of the Year. Blake immediately proved his class in the NBA Summer League, winning the MVP. But then, a disaster.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix. Now this whole flow is a...
Wow, a monster jam!
In the final preseason game, Griffin landed awkwardly after a dunk, resulting in a stress fracture of his kneecap. After several weeks of hesitancy, the doctors opted for surgery, and Griffin was ruled out for the season. Without their prized first pick, LA had another losing season, with 29 wins and 53 losses.
Damn.
In the 2010 draft, they had the 8th overall pick, which they used on Al-Farouq Aminu, missing out on Gordon Hayward and Paul George, who got selected 9th and 10th. However, when the 2010 season started, Griffin was finally healthy and quickly showed showed why he was one of the most talented players to ever suit up for the Clippers.
Hey.
Blake scored 20 points and grabbed 14 rebounds in his NBA debut. And in his 14th career game against the Knicks, he finished with 44 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. That game marked the beginning of a 27-game streak where he finished with a double-double, the longest rookie double-double streak since 1968. Griffin was selected by the coaches for the All-Star game, becoming the first rookie since Tim Duncan with that accomplishment. He also appeared in the slam dunk contest, where he absolutely dominated the competition, highlighted by his dunk over a car.
You gotta believe.
Hey! Don't stand on my shit. What are you
Blake
doing?
appeared in all 82 games, averaging 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists, becoming the first rookie to average at least 20 points and 10 rebounds since Elton Brand did it in 2000. Griffin was voted
wait,
rookie at
repeat
least
that?
20 points and 10 rebounds since Elton Brand did it in 2000. Griffin was voted Rookie of the Month in all 6 months of the regular season, and he became just the 3rd player in NBA history to be voted Rookie of the Year
Damn.
unanimously. However,
Take note.
despite all the accolades, the Clippers barely improved, finishing with the 3rd worst record in the conference. But then, in the offseason, after the NBA commissioner famously vetoed Chris Paul's trade to the Lakers, CP3 still ended up in Los Angeles. But with the
CP?
Clippers, the less successful LA team gave up Eric Gordon, Chris Kaman, Al-Farouq Aminu, and a first-round pick for Paul, which was a worse deal for New Orleans than what the Lakers offered. But still, Chris Paul became a Clipper. And this changed everything. On top of being a point god and an uber-efficient pick-and-roll savant who could find teammates with his eyes closed, CP3 was also the best defensive point guard in the NBA, who led the league in steals 3 times during his 6-year stint with New Orleans. When the 2012 season started, Paul led the Clippers' fast-paced offense, and because he had high-flying finishers at the rim, he often threw spectacular alley-oop dunks to Griffin or DeAndre Jordan, which quickly earned the Clippers a new nickname, Lob City. Both CP and Blake were named to the All-Star team and All-NBA teams, becoming the first Clipper players to be named All-NBA since the franchise moved to Los Angeles in 1984. The Clippers made the playoffs, which was only their 2nd playoff appearance in 15 years, where Paul and Griffin led the team to victory over the hard-nosed, grit-and-grind Memphis Grizzlies. It was just the 3rd series win in franchise history, but immediately in the 2nd round, LA was brought down to earth as they got swept by the Spurs. The season
Bro, the Spurs back then, even without watching basketball, I kept hearing about these guys sounded like they were demons, bro. Those Spurs,
was still viewed as a success, considering the long playoff drought, the fact that the team was newly assembled, and the youth of Blake and Jordan. However, for the 2013 season, the expectations grew, and the Clippers looked the part. They won a franchise record 56 games, which was the first time they ever surpassed 50 wins in a season, with CP and Blake leading the charge, alongside proven vets like Chauncey Billups, Matt Barnes,
They gotta get rid
Caron
of
Butler,
that
and Jamal
CP
Crawford.
nickname,
Paul led
bro.
the NBA in steals and finished 4th in the MVP voting, making first-team All-NBA and All-Defense, while Blake made the All-NBA second team. And the playoffs started well for LA. They won the first 2 games at home against Memphis, and everybody believed they would defeat the Grizzlies again. But then, a collapse. Due to a lack of shooting on the team, especially from Blake, who couldn't buy a bucket outside the paint, the Clippers struggled to score, losing 4 consecutive games, and their season was over. Because of poor rotations, lack of tactical adjustments, and questionable in-game decisions, the Clippers fired coach Vinny Del Negro, who
Damn,
was
Del
probably the
Negro.
worst coach in the NBA at the
he
time.
definitely
And
says yes,
in his
right.
place came Doc Rivers, an NBA champion with the 2008 Celtics, who immediately
Doc
brought
Rivers got a
improvement.
face you can't
DeAndre
trust,
Jordan
bro.
started playing more
You just
minutes,
cannot
which
trust
solidified
that
the team's
face.
defense
I'm
and
telling you.
rebounding. And Blake started shooting more jump shots, becoming a pick-and-pop threat. JJ Redick was the biggest player addition to help the Clippers
JJ
spread the
Redick,
floor.
the motherfucker
And now,
sitting on
LA
podcasts
looked like a
with LeBron.
serious contender. They improved their franchise record to 57 wins and had the best offensive rating in the NBA. Blake and DJ destroyed rims across the league, catching lob passes from CP3. And their big 3 looks like the best trio in the NBA, outside of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh in Miami.
What is this stack?
It looks like the best trio in the NBA, outside of
How are you beating that? OG LeBron with goddamn Wade and Bosh? Yeah, nah. This team had to get a fucking ring, bro. They had to.
LeBron, Wade, and Bosh in Miami. Griffin was 3rd in MVP voting, while CP was 7th. Paul led the NBA in steals and assists, and DeAndre Jordan was the league leader in rebounds, finishing 3rd in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. On top of everything, Jamal Crawford also won the 6th Man of the Year award, and the Clippers seemed like they were finally out of the Lakers' shadow. But amid their most successful season in franchise history, there was also a massive scandal, which had nothing to do with basketball. On April 25, 2014, TMZ Sports released a recording of a conversation between Sterling and his mistress, Vanessa Stiviano, where Sterling was saying that he didn't want Stiviano to bring black people to Clippers games.
What exactly did Donald Sterling say? I don't want my woman around black basketball players. Me neither.
After his comments went public, the NBA banned Sterling for life, giving him a $2.5 million fine and forcing him to sell the team.
I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA.
And despite all the turmoil and controversy surrounding their team, during which the Clippers players considered boycotting Game 4 of the first round against the Warriors, they decided to play, even though they lost the game in a blowout. However, behind 23 points and 6 rebounds on average from Blake and 17 points and 9 assists from CP, the Clippers eventually defeated Steph Curry and the Warriors in 7 games.
The fake handoff and the drive and the collision and the two! What a play!
Did y'all see that shit? Look at this. Spring right back up. What the fuck was that?
And their second round matchup against OKC was just as nail-biting, with the Thunder and Clippers trading punches and exchanging leads throughout the series. Both teams won 2 games, and Game 5 was another close contest, but it looked like it would go the Clippers' way.
Paul with the jumper. Yes!
As they held a 7-point lead with 49 seconds remaining. But then, Chris Paul committed 2 costly turnovers.
2 turnovers.
And fouled Westbrook on a 3-point attempt.
It's Westbrook.
Eve to me
I don't
is
care if it's his
basically
prime.
freedom.
You
It's a
don't
giant
jump,
open
bro.
universe
This nigga
where
Westbrook is ass.
Down by 2, Westbrook for the lead.
The Thunder escaped with a 105-104 victory in what was the biggest meltdown of CP3's career. It's me. Everything that happened at the end is on me. The Clippers had their chances in Game 6, but once again they lost their cool in the clutch, and the Thunder advanced. However, despite failing to make the conference finals for the 3rd consecutive season, the Clippers' main players were still young and in their prime. Paul and JJ Redick were 29, DJ was 26, and Blake was just 25 years old. Barnes and Jamal Crawford were 34, but they were still very capable. And the Clippers believed that with continuity and a bit of luck, they could finally go all the way. For the 2015 season, Griffin further improved his shooting and all-around game. When he first came to the NBA, Blake was a brute finisher, and his main strengths were agility, explosiveness, and a soft touch around the basket. As a rookie, Blake shot just 25% on his attempts outside the paint, but in the 2015 season, this number improved to 48%. Even though his jumper was robotic and slow as hell, Griffin shot 40% on his mid-range attempts. He wasn't a mid-range assassin like Chris Paul or KD, but he was good enough to keep the defenses honest and force them to close out on him, which then opened his driving lanes and created passing opportunities that weren't there when he was a rookie. In 2015, Blake averaged a career-high 5.3 assists per game. His free throw percentage rose to a very respectable 73%, and the Clippers got another shot creator outside of Chris Paul. CP3 still led the NBA in assists that season, but Griffin's improvement allowed him to spend more time off the ball, resulting in a career-high efficiency, as Paul was very close to shooting 50-40-90 for the season. DeAndre Jordan also improved, averaging a league-leading 15 rebounds per game, as well as 71% shooting from the field, the second-best field goal percentage in NBA history. DJ made the first-team All-Defense, just like Chris Paul, who also got named to the All-NBA.
I ain't gonna lie, this is why I couldn't be in the NBA, bro. If somebody swatted me like this and started talking their shit, you might have to retire me because I'm about to swing, bro. Like, I'm not even gonna crash out like that, but like, I can't let you, like, if somebody swatted me regularly, I wouldn't give a fuck. But if you started me and started talking your shit, hyping yourself up, saying get the fuck off my court, I couldn't do it.
First team, while Blake made the third team. JJ Redick also played the best basketball of his life, averaging 16 points per game and making a career-high 44% of his three-pointers. The Clippers were firing on all cylinders, once again finishing the season with the best offensive rating in the league. And it looked like this was finally going to be their year. But in the first round of the playoffs, a tall task awaited the defending champion San Antonio Spurs. And after 5 games, it seemed like the Clippers were in trouble, as the Spurs held a 3-2 lead in the series with the upcoming Game 6 in San Antonio. However, thanks to 26 and 12 from Blake and 19 points and 15 assists from Paul, the Clippers forced a Game 7. And then, in the deciding contest, a disaster. Chris Paul injured his hamstring in the first quarter, and it was a question whether he could continue the game. But Paul persevered and played through the injury in what was maybe the best game of his career. CP3 hit 9 of his 13 shots, including 5 of 6 for 3, and a game-winning floater over Tim Duncan that clinched the series. Blake was excellent too, with a 24-point triple-double, and it seemed like the Clippers had finally matured and had a championship mentality. In the second round, LA took a 3-1 lead against the Rockets, winning Game 3 by 25. And Game 4 by 33 points. However, in Game 5, the Rockets outclassed the Clippers, winning by 21 points. But in Game 6, the Clippers bounced back at home, holding a 19-point lead in the third quarter and a 12-point lead with 8 minutes to go. It looked like the Clippers would finally advance to the first conference finals in franchise history, and everybody was already getting their popcorn ready for the clash between the Clippers and the Warriors. But then, a complete meltdown, and one of the biggest choke jobs in NBA history. With James Harden on the bench, the Rockets outscored the Clippers 40-15 in the fourth quarter, led by a combined 29 points from Corey Brewer and Josh Smith, 2 players who came off the bench. The Clippers shot an abysmal 4 for 22 in the fourth, with just 5 rebounds and 1 assist. And
these random ass niggas on the Rockets are what put away the Lob City Clippers. Bro, they had no clutch badges. That's probably their biggest problem.
it seems like they never recovered from that fiasco. In Game 7, the Rockets led the entire game, and once again, the Clippers went down in flames.
And the Houston Rockets, what an impressive win here on their home floor.
Despite their big three playing fairly well the entire series, the Clippers' role players failed them in this series, especially Jamal Crawford and Matt Barnes, who took a lot of shots but made just 34%, including a horrible 23% for three. For the 2016 season, the Clippers retained their key players, apart from Barnes, who was replaced by Jeff Green, and vets such as Paul Pierce, Josh Smith, Lance Stevenson, and Luc Ba Amute, who also joined the team to bolster the bench. However, their success was hampered by injuries and the suspension of Blake Griffin, who was out for 6 weeks because he injured his hand while punching a member of the Clippers staff. This incident was the first public sign of trouble in the locker room, as the Clippers' chemistry started to deteriorate. Overall, Blake missed 47 games of the season, but he was able to come back before the start of the first round of the playoffs against Portland. Even though it was painfully obvious that Blake was still nursing a quad injury and wasn't at 100%, the Clippers still comfortably won the first 2 games. Portland won Game 3, but in Game 4, the Clippers' season was over, even though they were still playing, because in the same game, Chris Paul broke his hand and Blake tore his unrecovered quad. Without their 2 best players, the writing was on the wall, and another season went down the drain. For the 2017 season, the Clippers didn't make any notable additions, keeping the same core players together for a 5th straight season. But as the league moved towards the pace and space era, the Clippers still played old-school basketball with 2 traditional big men, and it seemed like their championship window had closed. But despite Blake and CP each missing 21 games of the season, the Clippers still won 51 games, surpassing the 50-win threshold for the 5th season in a row. In the playoffs against Utah, LA narrowly lost Game 1, but bounced back to win Games 2 and 3. However, that second win came at a hefty price, as Blake Griffin went down with a toe injury and was ruled out for the remainder of the playoffs. Without Blake, LA managed to win one more game, but they lost the series and got knocked out of the playoffs again. It was clear that this team couldn't stay together anymore. And in the offseason, the Clippers decided to trade Chris Paul to Houston, unwilling to offer him another max deal. Desperate not to lose both superstars, the Clippers gave Blake Griffin a 5-year, $173 million contract. They even organized a fake jersey retirement for Griffin, convincing him that he'll be a Clipper for life and that they'll build a championship team around him.
It was a jersey retirement ceremony, and then Sandra Day saying, "Rise up." This was like one of the craziest things I've seen.
Even though he cringed at the jersey retirement, Blake didn't cringe at the money, so he decided to stay. But when the season started, it was clear that the plan was not working, and that the Clippers weren't even a playoff team, let alone a contender. After just 33 games, and a few months after they told him he'd be a Clipper for life, the Clippers traded Blake Griffin to Detroit, which officially marked the end.
That's some fake ass shit. Yo, rewind
Playoff
that.
team, let alone a contender. After just 33 games and a few months after they told him he'd be a Clipper for life, the Clippers traded Blake Griffin to Detroit, which officially marked the end of Lob City.
That's fucked up. They said, "Will you be with us forever?" And then the second they realized that nigga wasn't gonna carry this team by himself, they were like, "Yeah, trade his ass, bro. Get him out of here. Get him gone." Clippers, y'all are fucked up for that. And that's probably why y'all didn't win that season when y'all had a bunch of freaking Hall of Famers on your team. Just letting y'all know.
It was a 6-year stretch filled with memorable highlights, plenty of dunks, and unprecedented success for a franchise that had never won anything. Lob City made the Clippers relevant for the first time, and from that perspective, it can be viewed as a success. But when you have 2 perennial All-NBA players on your team, a rebounding machine, and arguably the best 6th man in NBA history, and you don't even reach the conference finals, then it's a gigantic failure. Their realistic chance of championship came in 2014 and 2015, when the team was healthy, in their prime, and had good chemistry. But thanks to Chris Paul's meltdown against the Thunder and the total abomination that unfolded against the Rockets, the Lob City Clippers never fulfilled their high-flying expectations. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, subscribe to Nonstop and check out some more of our content.
Recap. Those niggas were cool to watch, but they ultimately weren't even a good team. Hype was. And then Clippers was being fake as fuck to this nigga Blake at the end because they told him they wanted him forever and then cut that nigga. Don't trust nobody but yourself, man. With that being said, watch some more of my videos, man. If you liked it and you made it this far, it's the end. You and I, we could be going far. See you on the next video. Ta-ta. Wait, is that gay? Is that gay to say ta-ta? Sound gay? Whatever. See you in the next video, man. Peace out.